We have a little news because Mike Puma is an excellent beat writer for the New York Post for our institution. And he talked to Juan Soto. And why don't I, in case somebody's listening to our podcast and they haven't heard it, I'm going to go ahead and just read the quote and then let you go and riff a little bit. I know you were called last night and you ended up writing a column on this. So let me just read it. He told Mike Puma. Soto is not off to a great start. Last night, he had his first hit with runners in scoring position, a home run. He said, it's definitely different. I had the best hitter in baseball hitting behind me, obviously meaning Aaron Judge. I was getting more attacked and more pitches in the strike zone, less intentional walks and things like that. I was pitched differently last year. And so I don't know that this is a great look 3 weeks into the season after you didn't take 760 million from the Yankees and took 765 from the Mets. You wrote about it, John. You have first say off of what Mike Puma reported from Soto last night.
Yeah, I mean, I think Soto is a fine young man, and it's great that he's cooperative and candid. And I do think there is some validity to this. I mean, obviously Alonso's doing fantastic as is Judge, but realistically, there's only one Aaron Judge. There's probably only two guys in baseball who could really provide true protection for somebody as great as Juan Soto. Otherwise, the pitchers are going to pitch around no matter how good Pete Alonso is, no matter how hot he is. The pitchers have been pitching around Juan Soto. So I do see the validity to it, as I wrote. Of course, everybody latches on to the negative part about it. And I personally just don't think this is the time to do it. He isn't doing that bad that he needs any excuse or any explanation for what he's doing. And even if he was, it's just not the time where he's 15. He was 15 games into a 15-year commitment. Let it play out. He is a terrific talent. He's going to be incredible. He's luckier than most. By most, I mean 98% of the guys to have Alonso behind him. You know, Judge doesn't have anybody like that behind him, and it's certainly an advantage to having Judge behind you. Look at the Yankee leadoff hitters with Judge batting second, right? Rice and Goldschmidt are benefiting, and Soto benefited last year to some degree. I still think, I mean, my opinion of Soto has not changed. I think he's a great kid. I think he's an amazing player. I certainly understand why the Mets did this. I'm sure it was a very tough decision for him, but I think to bring it up now, it was a mistake. Now, I'm with you. Give Mike Puma credit for talking to him, and I see people saying, "Oh, it was a leading question. He tricked him, baited him, whatever." He asked him the question. It wasn't a trick. He obviously gave a full explanation. His English is excellent. What he said makes perfect sense. I just don't think he should have said it.
Yeah, we know Mike Puma pretty well. There was no leak.
No, no.
Mike is not a duplicitous kind of guy. He asked probably why do you think you're struggling early this season or not performing up to the level of last year? And the answer was the answer. And I'm always vexed by this, John, because on one hand, we deal with so many media trained vanilla answers. Like I hate when we say
Right.
of people who are honest. He was being honest. On the other hand, we do have to say what we think. And I agree with you after 15 games of the season. And look, I would point out this. You know what hit 216 last year with a 645 OPS, which by the way was 29th in this category? The guys who hit fourth in the Yankee lineup who protected Aaron Judge. They were 29th in OPS. Aaron Judge won the MVP with no protection last year. Now, I know you could say the protection was in front of him. Soto was on base. That creates the need to maybe pitch to him. There was no reason to pitch to Judge. Their cleanup hitters sucked. I do think capitalized on this situation. I would point out again for the earliness of the year, and I do think Soto is seeing a higher percentage of pitches out of the strike zone. But you know who else is? Lindor it's up 4.4% out of the zone. Soto's 3.3%. Exactly 3.3% is also Alonso. They're all among the leaders. Is it possible they're playing in cold weather and guys are having trouble controlling the ball and they're just not seeing as many strikes early in the season? And the blessing for him is Alonso has gotten off great. He's punishing the opponent for not dealing with Soto. And so, I think you put it well, which is everyone who doesn't have Otani or Judge behind them would pick Alonso now to maybe hit behind him. He'd certainly be on the short list the way he's broken out so far this season. I just feel this was poorly timed to kind of pine for your old team that did do everything kind of conceivable to keep you. when your new team did everything conceivable plus 5 million to get you. And I just
Right.
think, again, I want honesty, but this felt like poorly timed, poorly phrased honesty.
Yeah, and you're right about we appreciate when the guys aren't just giving cliches and vanilla answers, which is what we generally get. And he was being candid, and as I said, I do believe there is some validity. I mean, new school is that the protection isn't that important, but certainly if you have a judge, it's a big help. You know, a judge or an Otani. But if it's that big a help to have a protection, why is Otani batting leadoff? Right, he's a leadoff hitter. Who's he protecting as the leadoff hitter? So I think there's less emphasis on who's protecting whom at this point. Judge is so good, he doesn't need protection. But I feel like Soto should be that good. He's been on several teams for a guy this good. He's been already been on four teams, right? And he's had very good players batting behind him at different times. You've had Harper, you've had Machado, but it's not always them, right? But I don't think he should have said it. I think that's the bottom line. And I was there, not at the game. I was at the Yankee game, but I felt this was the interesting story. That's not clickbait. It's the interesting story, and it's proven out. I mean, I know I should look at Twitter, but it gets 100 some plus retweets, whereas my Yankee column, which I wrote, got zero retweet, zero. So, if someone thinks, so I'm just doing it for clickbait, trying to write something interesting. Anyway,
Home
enough
reaction.
about me. I think Soto's a great kid, as I wrote in there. I think he's candid. People didn't see that because we're behind a paywall now. They only see the tweet. But, I was just a little bit critical because the timing was not good. And that's basically it.
Yeah. Don't apologize for doing your job well, John. You did your job well. Look, Francisco Lindor is being protected by Juan Soto. He's gotten off poorly. He finished second for the MVP last year. Soto was what, third? It's like it's early in the season. Do we have any doubt that Juan Soto
No.
will have 3,500 homers and a 900 OPS probably, like as kind of a baseline? I just think again, this felt mistimed.